Man, so let's just be real about everything. Bryan Kohberger got railroaded. The reality of this is Idaho law is a little bit different from other states when it comes to grand juries and their instructions. And I understand all the bootlickers, the people that believe Bryan Kohberger is absolutely 100% guilty. They are going to cheer for joy as if they won some sort of contest. The reality of this is what happened to Bryan Kohberger by him not getting his grand jury indictment thrown out shows you how corrupt our system is at this point in time, because the law is clear in Idaho. We're going to talk about that, and then we're also going to talk about Karen Northington. You guys know how I feel about the dope fiends. You know how I feel about this, and it's a shame to see the YouTubers out here, well, taking advantage of the dope fiend for, personal gain. But I'm going to elaborate because I have watched an interview when it comes to Karen Northington, which is Xana's mom, and I do have a few comments to say on her revelations, or should we say, lack of. I'm thejbgunner. This is Crime Time. Let's go ahead and get on into it. Let's do it.
Bring it back.
What's going on, everybody? As you guys know, I'm thejbgunner, and this is Crime Time. Now, before we get started, let me first and foremost say thank you to everybody that supports the channel or any of my channels, regardless of the platform and regardless of the method, whether it's Cash App, Patreon, Venmo, PayPal. Truth is, guys, I couldn't do this each and every day as often as I do if it wasn't for you, the Gun Squad. I love you guys. Big shout out to you. And if you too find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below. Show your boys some love. And no, I will not be giving it all to crackheads so they can go get some more crack. Anyways, with all that being said, while you're down there, check out some of my other content. If you like my political channel, it's down there. It's not for all you snowflakes, leftist type motherfuckers. It's just not for you. But also got a gaming channel and a live stream channel. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get into this story. Let's talk about a few things. Let's talk about Kara. Let's talk about Bryan Kohberger. Let's do it. All right, now, before we move on with the show, I'm going to get into the Idaho 4. I'm going to go ahead and give them weirdos over on the True Crime channel a video. I'm going to clip it from here. So what we're going to talk about right now is I'm just going to, for you people that follow the True Crime channel and the Idaho 4 situation, I want to talk about something because recently there's two things that have occurred. Number one, the Idaho 4 weirdos are still being fucking weirdos. I mean, not the Idaho 4, but the true crime weirdos are still being weirdos. Constantly complaining, constantly crying, constantly grifting. It's just what they do. But there was something that occurred the other day that I noticed that not a lot of people are talking about. Bryan Kohberger, and I'm going to make this clear, his grand jury indictment by law should be thrown out. All it takes is looking at specific Idaho law, because here's the truth about grand juries. Most people say that a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich, but here's the truth about the whole grand jury thing. In Idaho, it's not that way. In Idaho, I'm going to show you a standard which should have Bryan Kohberger's grand jury indictment let loose, let go right now. There is no better case than this in which a person deserves a preliminary hearing. Bryan Kohberger, if you look at the argument that he put forth in his challenge to the grand jury indictment, Idaho Code 19-1107, the grand jury ought to find an indictment when all evidence before them taken together, if unexplained or uncontradicted, would in their judgment warrant a conviction by trial jury. Now, what does that mean? That means, unlike other grand juries across the land, in order for a grand jury in the state of Idaho to indict Bryan Kohberger means they had to see enough evidence to convict Bryan Kohberger. But that's not what happened. Green Gobble's in the audience is saying exactly the point. 6 of them wanted more information. 6 of them wanted more information presented. That means 6 of them wasn't going to push for the indictment unless they saw more evidence. But they were told they couldn't see more evidence. There is no case going right now that is being more. There's no person I know getting fucked over more than Bryan Kohberger. Because the judge came out and said we cannot change 100 years of standards. The defense, Ann Taylor and the defense, their argument was that the jury was not given the proper instructions. The proper instructions would be, hey, you have to see enough evidence to where you would find him guilty at trial. And now, what is the standard for guilty at trial? Can anybody in the audience tell me? What is the standard for being found guilty at a jury trial? Because here's the thing. By Idaho law, that same standard should have been given to Bryan Kohberger in a grand jury indictment. So in this case, the whole concept of the grand jury can indict a ham sandwich should not have existed, because in a criminal trial jury, in a jury trial, you have to be found guilty without a reasonable doubt. And in this situation, beyond a reasonable doubt, exactly. So, if you have 6 grand jurors requesting more information, then that means there is a reasonable doubt. Therefore, Bryan Kohberger's grand jury indictment should have been 100% thrown out. Now, I'm not saying Bryan Kohberger should go home. The next obvious step is to go back to regular trial and have what's called a preliminary hearing, where you must present the evidence to the court, and then the court decides if it goes forward to a jury trial, to a trial. But see, Bryan Kohberger didn't get that. And if you guys don't know the history, let me explain to you the history. If you remember right, Bryan Kohberger's lawyers were going to go to California to sit down and interview Bethany Funk, one of the witnesses. Then, guess what happened? The Giglio whatever shit came out where there's possibly police corruption. This information came out. And then all of a sudden, there was a secret grand jury that indicted Bryan Kohberger. So none of this shit would go to preliminary trial. A preliminary trial is a situation where the defense gets to hear the evidence against their client, against the defendant. In a secret grand jury, the prosecution gets to present the same evidence to a grand jury, but the defense doesn't get to even hear it. Since this time, the defense has asked for discovery 9 times. 9 fucking times. The defense has said, hey, do you think you can give us the evidence that you have against our client? And they have been rejected and not given discovery 9 motherfucking times. So now we're not even going to stick with the Idaho law when it comes to grand jury indictments and make sure that he has to be guilty without a reason. Like, that's the standard. So the entire grand jury indictment, this is why I believe an appeal will throw this out, even if he's found guilty. The grand jury indictment is fraudulent. They did not instruct the jury on the true instructions of what this is they're supposed to see to indict him, which is complete guilt. Of course, all the people that support the police and are anti-Bryan Kohberger, they're all cheering. They act like it's a victory, like they're playing a game. Because they don't actually care about the court of law and whether they're going to railroad some innocent motherfucker for 4 murders. Why is it important that we get the right murderer? Because there's 4 people murdered, and if you care at all, you should want the right guy on death row. But you see, the grifting YouTubers in the true crime community, all they care about is their choo-choo train, their donation trains and shit like that. So much so, let me explain to you what these motherfuckers are doing now. Xana Kernodle was one of the murdered children. Now, these motherfuckers, and by the way, in case you don't know, Xana Kernodle was a complete dope fiend. Don't believe it? Let me show you. Let me go ahead and get her picture up here so you motherfuckers can see what Xana Kernodle's mother, Kara Kernodle, I don't know why I said Xana Kernodle. I'm going to show you this woman. This woman is Xana Kernodle's mother, Kara Kernodle. Well, the true crime YouTubers are grifting their ass off. They're now interviewing her on the shows. And let me explain to you something. This woman doesn't know shit. She's been locked up. She wasn't even in her daughter's life. She's a fucking dope fiend. Period. Now, I'm going to show you something. I listened to one of the interviews. And I jotted down some notes. And all of these YouTubers are jumping on this shit now. All of them. And by the way, let me also say this. There are rumors going around that there was a secondary car. And if you remember, if you read the PCA, the probable cause affidavit, remember, they referred to Kohberger's car as like suspect car number 1 or suspect car number 2. I can't remember which one it was. I think there was multiple cars involved that was considered suspect cars that night. And, you know, that's just something I want to throw out there. But anyway, this hard-looking dope fiend bitch, she's making the rounds now because she's starting to get paid herself. Now, I heard someone that had her on the show doing interviews for dope money, of course. She's getting all of her attention now. Now, I saw a person that did the show say, we're gonna give her all donate super chats from this evening. Make no mistake about it. Channel monetized. They got PayPal's, Cash Apps. They're getting money anyway. So that's the new grift now. We're going to bring on the dope fiend mom and run that shit to the very fullest. We're gonna have the audience and everybody ask them as many questions as you want. And this dope fiend mom, who's probably just looking for another fucking hit, is all of a sudden she's gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna do all the interviews. Of course, dope money. And for the YouTubers, it's just grift money. It is what it is. They have no standards. They will get involved and in the business of any motherfucker out here. And they don't give 2 fucks how much danger this puts Xana's mom in, how dumb this makes her look, or anything like it. They're just taking advantage of this old-ass dope fiend with a dead daughter. Taking complete advantage of it. That's the truth. So I was listening to one of these interviews. Now, she did say some interesting shit that I want to comment on. The night that this all occurred, apparently Xana and her boyfriend were back at the house at 12 midnight. How does she know this? Because she's claiming that her father, Xana's father, spoke to Xana that night at 12 p.m. and Xana was already back home eating pizza. And in fact, there's a picture of a trash dumpster with a pizza box in the trash can. Now that leads to a question. Let me ask you a question. Do we have any fit women in here that maybe went out and got drunk? Let me ask you a question. Because Xana was fit, right? What are the odds that a fit woman probably went out and got drunk, got home at 12, and she was smashed, so she wanted a pizza? What are the odds that that same woman, who's got pretty much a petite frame, would then order DoorDash at 2:30? Because there's something that you guys don't know about this. That particular DoorDash stops taking orders in that area at 2:45 a.m. 56115. There you go, Manny. I want you to hear me out. That DoorDash stops taking orders at 2:45 a.m. So all of you people that are like, yeah, but she didn't get the DoorDash till 4. Stop it. If Xana Kernodle was eating pizza at 12, if she came home with the pizza at 12 midnight and was talking to her dad eating pizza, what's the odds that a fit woman then at 2:30 or 2:45 would call in a DoorDash order for more food? Serious question. I don't know any fit or skinny chicks that would eat a fucking pizza at midnight and then want Jack in the Box at 2:30. A fat bitch, maybe. Xana Kernodle, I don't think so. Granted, you could say, well, how do you know she didn't order it for her boyfriend, whatever. I believe, remember how in the beginning of all this, I said, I believe the DoorDash has something to do with the murders? She didn't order DoorDash. Exactly. Now, I am going to say something that possibly implicates Bryan Kohberger. You guys know I support Bryan Kohberger. That DoorDash order, the latest it could have went in is 2:45. Bryan says, nope, we wouldn't wait for the DoorDash that long. We're drunk and we want food now. Exactly. Well, remember, Bryan, she had a pizza. If the mom's to be believed. Here's the thing, though. Kohberger left his residence, they're saying, at 2:48. Who ordered the DoorDash? Because I believe if we know 100% who ordered the DoorDash, we know we have that. To me, that's the link. Even if it was Bryan Kohberger, which I don't think it was, but I have to say this implicates him. If that order happened to go in at 2:45, and Bryan Kohberger left his house at 2:48. Maybe to go get the DoorDash. Maybe he was delivering it for somebody else. I don't know. That looks bad. But my question is, ultimately, when we're talking about the pizza, why would a normal-sized woman eat a pizza at midnight and then order DoorDash at 2:30? I don't believe they would. Even if they were smashed drunk. Come to find out, she was talking. Thank you, Manny. Come to find out, she was talking to her father that night and telling him about a fight that occurred with Ethan and the frat boys. Now, guys, can I remind you of a video that we did several months ago in regards to David Berry and what's his name? David Berry and Louse, or whatever the fuck his name was. I don't remember. I find it a little ironic that we're getting confirmation that Ethan did get into a fight that night. They're saying Xana called her father at 12 midnight and was telling her she had to break up a fight between David Loach was his name, and Ethan. Now, why does that matter? Because 6-7 months ago, we was talking about the frat boys. So the question is, do we believe that this dope fiend, Do we believe that this dope fiend, mother of Xana, made up this story based on shit she read on Reddit? That's a possibility. It's one of the two. Either it confirms the David Loesch story and Ethan's story, or it doesn't. Or she just made it up because she watched too much internet. My question is if David Loesch and Ethan got into a fist fight that night and it had to be broke up, why is Loesch not the number one suspect? Why would the dude on steroids with roid rage not be the number one suspect? Now let's continue. There are things like the dad was going to go there that night, but he was drunk, and so I guess apparently he was told not to by Xana. Xana said she handled it. But then Xana's mom starts sounding like the rest of these true crime loonies. She begins talking about drip-drop talking points. She keeps mentioning the ladder, and they were mentioning tunnels and shit like this. The people that mention ladders and secret tunnels are nut jobs. There was no secret goddamn tunnels because there is no basement. There is no secret tunnels and secret doors into the fucking Idaho 4 house. All you have to do is look at the blueprint and you will see there is no basement. Well, Manning, you can see who ordered the DoorDash. And that's the thing. Maybe that's part of the evidence we don't know, Manning. But also keep in mind, you can spoof people's numbers. You can do a lot of different. I'm confused with that. I'm just throwing you out facts that was mentioned. Not facts. I'm just throwing out things that was mentioned by Xana's mom, Kara, in this interview I watched. So this is where she lost me. And she started talking about drip drop and the ladders and the secret tunnels and shit like this. And I said, oh, this bitch is high as fuck. She's just as high as the motherfucking clown. Xana's mom openly admits the police had never told her anything and that all she knows is things she has read online or seen online. That means Xana's mom's entire idea and perception on the case was shit she's got from people like, well, you. These motherfuckers in the true crime community. So let me ask something. Why would anyone interview her when she's openly saying the police haven't told her anything? And that all she knows about the case is shit she's watched and read on YouTube? That sounds like somebody that's only going to fulfill the talking points that these YouTubers want. She literally says, I only know shit that I saw online. Now, what she did confirm, that this was good information, is that the locks were changed to Xana's room the weekend prior by the dad. In Xana's bedroom in that house, Dad went there and changed the locks, and it was a digital lock with a digital code. Now, what does this mean? Who opened the door and why? Remember, they say when what's-his-name got there, he couldn't get in the door. Yet paid to read a script. That's a good point. They said that when he got there, when Hunter, whatever his name was, not Biden, Biden was with the whores and the crack. When Hunter Johnson or whatever his name got there, he had to break the door down or get into the door, push the door open, and because Ethan's body was laying by. Here's the truth, though. If her dad changed the locks and it was a digital code, let me ask you a question. If she went into that bedroom at night with Ethan, with the house full of people, wouldn't she have closed the door? I'm just quick curiosity. So my question is, if they were both found dead in that room, how did Kohberger or the killer or whoever get in there? There's a couple options. Maybe she left the door open. Maybe she went out. She was going out to get the DoorDash, which she clearly didn't because the DoorDash was still out there. Remember, the DoorDash was still on the table. So my question is, chances are, if she went to the room with her boyfriend, they closed the door, didn't they? So who opened the door? What made Xana or whoever open the door? Why was the door open, and how and by whom? Now I want to say some things. Something else that Xana's mom brought up and I'm curious about, because I was listening to this and I had a question. Let me tell you something. Bethany Funk was at the party with Xana, at the same party that Xana and Ethan was at. We know that Maddie and Kaylee were together at the grub truck and the bar. Where the fuck was Dylan Mortensen that night? And why, I'm talking about the night leading up to the murders. And why is she the only one that saw the killer and somehow survived? Then why is she the one that waited 8 hours to make the call? Why was the latent footprint outside Dylan Mortensen's door? Why was Dylan Mortensen's the door right there that Bryan Kohberger or whoever killed him would have had to pass on his way out the door? How did Bryan Kohberger get in the door? Who ordered the DoorDash? Was it Dylan Mortensen? Did Dylan Mortensen pick up the DoorDash from the front door? Who answered the door and grabbed the DoorDash? Was it Dylan Mortensen? Was it Bethany Funk? What information does Bethany Funk have that is exculpatory for Bryan Kohberger's defense that they refused to let out there to them? Thank you, Louis. Serious question. These are questions that I think need to be answered. Where was Dylan that night? Why is everybody else accounted for but Dylan? Why was Dylan and Bethany texting each other? Because that's how they found the times of the murders. Because Bethany and Dylan's phones were texting each other. Both of them was awake at the times of the murders. How did the camera 50 yards from the house pick up the body drop and the dog barking and Xana whimpering? How did the camera pick that up? But Dylan Mortensen on the same floor did not. So who ordered the DoorDash for Xana? Who would follow through? Let me ask you a question. If you pulled up to commit a crime, let's say you weren't the DoorDash driver. Let's say I was coming to kill Manning, and I pulled up, and I saw DoorDash delivering food there, people awake. Why would I do it that night? Why wouldn't I just wait till another night when I knew they were asleep? There's only one answer to that question. That means you wouldn't care about the DoorDash driver. Who wouldn't care about the DoorDash driver? If the DoorDash driver was the motherfucker. Right or wrong? Because they're saying that Bryan Kohberger and the DoorDash driver arrived at the exact same time. And they're saying that at 4:13, Xana was scrolling TikToker. Literally scrolling TikToker. Who let in the DoorDash driver? And why would any killer see the DoorDash driver and still go into the residence? I hear you, Manny. Who would follow through with that murder knowing that there's activity and people eating and delivery drivers? Who would follow through with that? Also, as I was listening to this, Kara thinks that hoodie guy, Kara didn't, this is why I think she's kind of in a drug-filled bullshit. And I don't think you can take anything she says seriously. This is a mother of the case, and she doesn't even know the difference between Jack Showalter and Jack Decor. because the interviewer was asking her about what she thought about Jack Showalter since he was walking with him that night and all that. In case you don't know, Jack Showalter's the hoodie guy. Kara's response is, well, I know that he had broken up with Kaylee just recently, and that's not the same Jack. That's not, none of that is. So Kara Northington / Kernodle doesn't know fucking shit about the case. And these people, these goddamn YouTubers, these grifting sacks of shit are going to continue to milk this dope fiend dry, knowing that, and when I listened to that interview, nobody even called her out. Nobody even said, man, you got the wrong Jack. Nobody took her to task on it. Nobody did shit. They just let her spout out her nonsensical bullshit. Why? Because it's milking the grift. That's all it was. That's all it's going to be. And now these YouTubers, just like they did the fake people like Kim from WSU or Dave, they're gonna milk the fucking fakes that don't know anything about the case because it looks like they know. Karen Northington has been high and locked up. She doesn't know shit about the Idaho 4 murders. That's the truth. And anybody that listened to that interview knows I'm telling the truth. But these YouTubers, they're going to keep fucking milking it because they're fucking grifting losers. That's why I hate that community over there. Over here, we talk about real fucking shit. Over there, they're too busy trying to solve the case so they can be the heroes, and none of them know shit. They're all just people at home watching too much court TV. That's reality. They're all a bunch of soccer moms over there. We're going to get to the bottom of it. They're fucking losers. Period. I'll leave that there. But when it comes to it, it's a shame. And what's funny is they'll say I'm the fucking asshole. I'm not the one milking a dope fiend for every bit of information, for every bit of views and money, exactly, Gobbles, that I could get. All I do all day is commentate on news and give my perspective. And if people want to pay me, they can pay me. These people, they don't care. What is my conclusion? My conclusion is that is Karen Northington. I just said it. Is that A, when we're talking about the grand jury indictment, it should be thrown out. That's what I started with. Thank you, Dylan. And when it comes to Karen Northington, she's high and a fucking dope fiend, and then nothing she says should be taken seriously because she doesn't know anything about the case. There's a couple little nuggets we got in there. Could Kaylee have been banging Jack S? Yeah, I wouldn't put it past her. But I don't believe Karen Northington knows anything. I believe they're just using her. What's up, speculation? I believe they're just using her because it's going to bring in views. It's one of the Idaho 4 dead people's mom. That's why they're going to use her. It's their option, their prerogative. They can do what they want. But, in my opinion, it's all a grift. But who did it? High-level cops? No, it wasn't cops. It wasn't cops at all. I don't know who did it. I don't know who did it. And I think, look, man, I'm playing Clue just like everybody else. I think that there's a couple likely scenarios. I think there's suspects that has to be included. I can't say who did it when I don't know who the 3 men's DNAs are that was on the scene. How can anybody make a definitive choice when we don't know who the 3 men's DNA are that was on the scene? I don't know who did it. All I know is that, in my opinion, there's not enough evidence to convict Bryan Kohberger. If I was on Bryan Kohberger's jury, I would say not guilty. That's all I know. I think maybe one of the frat people, maybe something drug related. But I definitely don't think cops did it. That's a weird thing. Why would the cops murder him? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a weird thing. Chief Fry murdered him, JB. Some guy named Justin that thinks he's a trans or whatever the fuck he is said so. So the cops murdered him, JB. What would the cops murder him for? You know what I'm saying? Why would the cops murder him? For what? No party house is that clean. Exactly. And that's why they took the 8 hours. Look, all you got to do is understand. That's why no blood was found. That's why no tracked blood was found anywhere. It's clear. They cleaned the crime scene. High-level ring of what? Goddamn. Oh, are you one of the cartel people? Jesus Christ. Are you ever going to produce any evidence? You have 3 males' DNA who was unidentified. Exactly, Gobbles. Are any of you cartel people ever going to present anything? Just anything. Just anything at all. Like that makes you think it. It's a high-level ring, JB. Of what? A ring of what? And do you have any evidence at all? That's all I'm asking for. Can you show me anything that would make me think it's a high-level ring or cartel? Just give me one, just one thing. That's all I ask for, just one. I know you're going to get tired, Manning, but just one. Just one thing. Shouldn't they have all been charged with destroying evidence? Yeah. Had to be a professional hit? No, it didn't. Don't think drugs neither. I live close to college town and drugs are common in college? Yeah, of course. Had to be a professional hit. I don't know if that's the case or not. I do think it had to be multiple people. You got to realize how big Eason is. No regular dude could kill like that? Shit. Them 3 hoes would be easy. Killing the 3 hoes, that'd be easy. Exactly, McKinley. Now, Ethan would be hard, especially if he was last. Because you'd be a little bit tired. Yeah, a professional hit would not have been used. I'm telling you, it wouldn't have been a knife. A professional hit would have been silencers and guns. A professional hit wouldn't have been a stabbing. Too much potential evidence. I'm just being dead honest. A professional hit would not have done something that, you know. But multiple people, here's why I think that. If they're all drunk or doped up, it's not that hard. I agree. Here's why I think it was multiple people. Do you imagine how tired and exhausted you would have been from killing the 2 girls upstairs? Said it was cleaned professionally, or we will find here when the trial starts. That's why they want to tear down the house. There's so much evidence, and I will say that Karen Northington did say she doesn't want the house torn down, and I respect that. I just don't think it was a professional hit. I just don't think it would have been stabbing. Ooh, that shit. But people want these things to be a movie. You know, when I heard people saying that bald ass Chief Fry did it, I was like, well, for what? You know what I mean? Like, what's the gimmick? They've been doing it the whole time. These are the same people that said Dylan Mortensen was a tranny. Like, you understand that you lose all credibility when you as a grown adult are looking at a grown woman like Dylan Mortensen and saying that's a transsexual, JB. No, it's not. No, it's not. So I don't listen to none of them motherfuckers over there in the true crime shit. The two girls hadn't have been involved. I don't know if they were involved or not, but what I will say is Dylan was left alive for a reason. And there's a reason that the defense is saying that Bethany Funk has big drug rings going. You still didn't give me any evidence, Manning. You can't just make up stories. Could you tell me what made you think that it was a drug ring or a professional? Do you see what I'm saying? I think 100%, Gina. Why, Gina, thank you. Why is the answer not that easy? Ethan got into a physical altercation with what's up, Thomas? With the frat boys. And then later that night was murdered. In any other story, if I went to the bar and got in a fight, and then one of us ended up murdered, who would be the number one suspect? Why would anyone's number one suspect not be the person that one of them got in a fight with? What did you tell Adam? Everything. Remember that? There was a lot of shit going on that night. I lean towards the boys too. Bias says, think about it. One person killing 4 people, especially a person who was just in an altercation earlier that night, no man calms down that fast. Exactly. And the dude was on steroids, right? That's some roid rage shit. And he had a friend. I haven't heard the fight thing. The fight thing, you could go back to videos that I did 8 months ago and see the story of the fight thing. And then Xana, her mother, just confirmed it. And say, so if it's confirmed that Xana Kernodle did call her father that night and say that they had broken up a fight, that means the story. Exactly, Gina. That means the story that we revealed from Reddit or 40chan, whatever the fuck the kids call it, 8 months ago might be true. Might be true. Let's go back to it. We're just real quick. Hold on. Let's do that. Hold on. Let's see. Let's go to Otis. Because it will be one of these. Hold on, let's go through this. The police. I'm gonna go back because we're not gonna watch the video, but I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. There's some old shit. There it was. A murder, a drug deal gone wrong. No, that's not the one. Hold on. Well, I'm working on it. Give me a second. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Let me get to the shit. Hold on, just a second. I was talking about Xana's mom way back here. There's Kara. This is what? How many months ago? 10 months ago. 10 months ago. Hold on. That's crazy, right? Anyway, let's get to this. When they're talking about this story essentially says, bro, you can see the King Roadhouse from David's 5X room. This is David Barry or whatever, or Loach or whatever. Once that 3rd floor light turned off, they did it in 19 minutes total. This was told to us 10 months ago. 10 months ago. Walk included. Talked about this shit at Bishop Kelly and SX. Loach and E got in a fight that night. Allegedly talking shit. L had problems with Mads also. The shit been brewing since last fall, Rush last year. Cunts went quiet on SM for 2 weeks before and after the deed. Barry's mom a paralegal, so he knows not to say shit. Loach cleared his SM. Anyway, this story is actually quite long, but this was something we talked about 10 months ago. And then I never looked back at it. And now all of a sudden the mom, Xana's mom, is saying that fight did happen. If that fight did happen, how in the fuck Crime Beat with Leanna says, I think maybe a suspect is connected to someone in the police department, and the police are covering for the suspect or suspect's past. That's a good theory. She says possibly the frat boys. So I guess what I'm saying is, now that I didn't say the police weren't being. I didn't say there wasn't corruption. You have to remember that the university makes all the town money. I'm saying the cops didn't kill nobody. I didn't say there's not a cover-up. I didn't say they didn't rush to an arrest. I think that's why Kohberger's arrested, is because they rushed to the arrest so they can get people back. To school in January. You got to remember, this happened in November. They arrested Kohberger, oddly, on, hard to see frat boys having that much rage. Are you out of your fucking mind? The story was that Loach was on steroids and Ethan was making fun of him. Are you out of your fucking mind? My college years, I had more testosterone than any other time in my life. You think it's hard to see college men having testosterone and rage, especially if they're taking steroids? What? Here's the reality. I find it very ironic that Bryan Kohberger was arrested on December, 30th? Which is just a few days before the January semester starts. It seems to me like they needed to make the kids feel and the parents feel that the Moscow, Idaho streets were safe. That's my honest opinion on the matter. I think that's what they did. I think they rushed to an arrest, and Bryan Kohberger was the fall guy. So if you ask me who I think is the number one suspects, I'm going to go with the people that got into a physical fight with one of the victims that night. So I take steroids for ripped muscle, and it makes me a She-Hulk. There you go. Exactly. So for me, I'm just going to say, common sense, Occam's razor, the likely suspect is the dude that got in a fight with one of the victims that night. Simple as that. And it's that simple. I could be wrong, but just basing it on Occam's razor and just common logic, that's frat boys on steroids, bad combo, and they get full of rage, and the style of killings are full of rage, 100%. You know how much rage and strength and anger you gotta have to do that much stabbing and slicing and killing? Exactly, Gina. Exactly. Now I know all the true crime. When I post this over on Crime Time, make sure y'all watch it there too. Give me my view. Don't be over here just watching it and don't watch it when I post it over there. When I post it over there, you know they're all gonna be in the fucking comment section sucking dick. Talking shit. It's outrageous, man. How dare you say that about Xana's mom? She is a dope fiend. She is a dope fiend. So, how dare you talk about her? I talk about anybody that was a dope fiend. Why doesn't Steve Gonzalez think like this? I wonder. Think like what? He does think like this. Steve doesn't know who it is. Steve doesn't think. Steve said that. Why? No, Manning. Steve said from the beginning, why is everybody getting cleared so early? Steve Gonzalez is the only motherfucker that thinks that there could be more to the story. He said, why the fuck is it? Like him and his wife have a disagreement about that. Steve Gonzalez says, hey, don't you think you cleared all these other motherfuckers early? I think maybe, in my opinion, a frat boy may be related to someone in the police department. And it's very possible, Leanna. Yeah, man. Let them motherfuckers say. Yeah, no. Look, man. When I hear a motherfucker say SA instead of rape, or unalive instead of murder, I just click the fuck off, man. Like, you know how big of a pussy you gotta be to do that? It's so fucking gay. It's so gay. Your money, your video is not gonna be demonetized if you say killed, or dead, or murdered, or raped. And I'm going to prove it. You know what? I'm going to monetize my channels this weekend. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a minute-long video where I just say murdered, raped, killed, you know what I'm saying, 1 million times through the video. And I guarantee you that video will be monetized. And when I do that, it's going to show you that these people are just pussies. I've been on this platform for 17 years in December. I know that the word killed and murdered and rape doesn't demonetize your channel. I know it for a fact. Now, if you show murder, rape, and killings, you might, you know. Frat boys could have political connections to who? Klaus Schwab, Donald Trump, Manning. Or it could just be frat boys that killed the motherfuckers. And then they may not be connected to law enforcement at all. And law enforcement is like, still, we got to get this shit solved so we can get kids back in school so our city can still survive. But you're right, it could be. You never know. I think you guys see the Idaho 4 as something bigger than it is. You know why? And I blame the media for that. There is nothing big and epic about the Idaho 4. You see what I'm saying? There's not. But see, the media and YouTube and the true crime community has made it big. Why aren't people still talking about Debbie Collier? Debbie Collier, they say, went off into the woods after going to the store and dressing up in her Atlanta Falcons game for the Falcons game, stripped herself naked and set herself on fire. How come, right after, on Venmo, sending her dope fiend daughter and boyfriend $3,000, which he happened to owe for his probation. That is a case that needs to, but the law enforcement came out and said, she committed suicide, and everybody just fucking let it go. They just let it go. People are sheep, man. They only focus on the cases that the news tells them to focus on. That's it. That's it. And it's the truth. And so people want the Idaho 4 to be bigger than what it is. JB, it has to be a gangster cartel from Venezuela. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. You don't understand. The cops dug tunnels under the house, and they came in through a secret door. They burrowed through the ground like a motherfucking groundhog. And they use a ladder to come up. And even though blood is black when it dries and not red, there was a little bit of red tint on the thing outside Xana's window, so they thought that people are fucking nut jobs. Some dude with a clown circus channel told me that because, what's his name? The Marine dude likes horror movies and has masks, that means he's a killer. I got horror masks and Freddy's gloves and shit all over the place. I'm drinking out of a motherfucking Jason Voorhees coffee cup. Oh, you must have killed Idaho 4, JB. You have a horror movie collection. They're fucking retarded. They're retarded people. They are. They're retarded people. That's the truth. Exactly. Frat boys been committing crimes for the longest of time. Bunch of spoiled little boys that's going to get fucking bonded out and nobody's going to suspect it's them. But they're like, nope. Chief Fry did it by burrowing under the house and climbing up the ladder into the secret room. Steroids, alcohol, and other drugs, both legal and illegal, is a deadly combo. Exactly. Gina, thank you for being fucking smart. It's not even just smart. It's just common sense. There's a reason that Occam's razor exists. The most likely answer is typically the answer. I mean, the most likely answer in this scenario is that the dude that one of them got in a fight with came back and retaliated. Not to everybody else, though. Not to everybody else. Like, no, that's not the likely answer. Yeah, whatever. Whatever, man. Whatever.